How you guys doing?
Doing good.
I actually went to school here. I studied journalism, and then I changed my major to business. So a little bit about my backstory is I always loved storytelling. Like my grandmother, believe it or not, she put me on to Lord of the Rings. She put me on to Marvel movies and things like that. So I kind of use those to intertwine with other things that I love as far as drama films, like The Wire. One of my favorite movies is American Gangster with Denzel. And I tell people about intertwining those stories together, and they just say, Marvel, like gangster movies, like this and that. They're like, how do you, it's just, I'm all over the place with it when it comes to my creativity. But yeah, I found my love for filmmaking here actually. So I developed a short film called Visionary. It was more so like a documentary short, just me talking about my experiences, talking about my creativity and things like that. And I was just like, okay, like this is something I really want to do. Like I love the beauty of storytelling. You can tell stories through so many things. And I was just like, okay, let me take this serious. Let me figure out a narrative piece. Let me figure out that. And so I developed this short film called Scorpio here as well. And it didn't turn out how I wanted it to. It was a lot of slow motion, it was a lot of music and things like that. And it just didn't feel like this is what I wanted in this project. So I scrapped it. And then 2 years later, I started, like, okay, this is how I wanna do it. I started studying Spike Lee, I started studying Christopher Nolan, I started studying these directors, these filmmakers, and I also told myself that I don't have to rush. Like I have the ability to be patient, I have the ability of time and things like that. And so that's when I came with this concept in this film called The Foundation. And so this process was maybe 2020. So this was right around the back end of COVID, like during that time. And so I was like, okay, this is my first narrative piece. I'm not really a filmmaker yet. Like I told myself I'm not a filmmaker yet until I do something that I'm proud of. So with this film process, it took 5 years to develop between 2019, 2020, all the way to the tail end of 2024 and things like that. And I told myself that, okay, how do I want to approach this? Do I want to approach it from a director standpoint? Do I want to approach it from a writer standpoint? Do I want to approach it from an actor standpoint, an editor standpoint? I did them all. I did every role that you can think of. Of course I had help, but I did majority of the major roles, well they're all major, but I did a lot of roles for this film. I acted in it, I directed, I wrote it, I edited it, and I helped with the sound design as well. And so I can get into a little bit about the film, but the most important thing for me is the film process. And that starts with an idea. Once you have an idea, like, okay, I have my foundation set, then I can build from there. Like I have my favorite directors, I have my favorite writers, I have my favorite actors. Like, okay, let me not steal exactly what they're doing, but let me take bits and pieces of what they did right, what they did wrong. So I watched interviews from Denzel, like I watched interviews from Ryan Coogler, Spike Lee, Christopher Nolan, and things like that. And it was one movie that stood out between all those that I was watching, and that was Inception by Christopher Nolan. And it was a very complex, if anyone ever seen that film, you know that Christopher Nolan is a complex director. And he put a lot of him and what he's experienced and things like that into his film. And so that film really stood out to me as far as, like, okay, I don't want to tell a complex story, but I also want to dig deep into these ideas. I want to dig deep into storytelling and things like that. And then there was other films like American Gangster, it was Do the Right Thing by Spike Lee, it was these shows, The Wire, it was Power, and things like that. And when I'm creating this film, it kind of bows well into when I'm creating my team as well. And I kind of had that Nick Fury mindset. And I told myself that I'm going to put the Avengers together. So I had the idea for this film, but I knew I couldn't do it alone. I told myself this is going to be a big film. Like, of course, this is my first narrative piece. I could have did it small, and looking back, I may have should have scaled back a little bit on things, but once I get into certain accomplishments, I kind of understand why I took that approach as far as the complexity to it. And so I was like, okay, who do I know in the filmmaking space? So I met some people at USM that I was real friends with. And I was like, hey, I'm working on this project, I'm working on this film. Would you like to be a part of it? I got a good friend from New York. He's like my brother. He did the sound design for this film. And I was like, okay, I have my gaffer, I have my boom operator, I have my writers, I have my assistant directors, I have these people for this film. I have my Avengers. And now it's time to go. It's time to assemble. It's time to attack this approach. And with this film and developing this film in the pre-production stages, that's when I really learned the value and the patience of filmmaking. Because pre-production, it's, if not more important, but it's the important thing when it comes to filmmaking. It's more important than turning on the camera. It's more important than acting and things like that. You can throw pre-production and post-production into one. Those are the important pieces. So like between patience and things like that, my biggest thing would be to give advice is spend as much time as you can in post-production. Like you don't have to spend all the time in the world where years and years go by. Like I did. It took me 5 years to make my first narrative piece. It shouldn't take that long to make a short film, but it took me that long. Like I always say, if you're doing something creativity like this, and it's your first time doing it, you're gonna spend your whole life doing it. Like up until that point, you're spending your whole life doing it. And so we spent this time in pre-production, and this was maybe 3 years ago, and we was ready to shoot. And certain things didn't align, and it didn't happen. We didn't film. And at that time, I didn't understand. I was frustrated. I was like, this was the time. We wasn't ready. So I went back to the drawing board. I called my process the whiteboard process. I have a big whiteboard in my apartment that I just write ideas on. I have my notebook that I write ideas on daily. And I often get these ideas when I'm driving or in traffic. Like for some reason I have these epiphanies when I'm driving. And so I have to try to text and drive, but I have to write these ideas down. Like, so yeah. And then fast forward maybe a year or so later, a lot of things aligned. We got a few new crew members, but the location down, we had the acting down, and we had everything was perfectly in line. And that's when I was, this is it. This is the time. We have to press record and we have to do this. So with my film, The Foundation, and I can get into about what it's about, but that process, like I always say, like these gray hairs on my beard was from that. Like it was from that. Like it took so much, but it was all worth it. Like that process was all worth it. The post-production, the editing, and things like that. And with my mind being so focused on what inspires me and that igniting the flame from within, I put it into my work. So the movie American Gangster, the Avengers movie, Inception, and Do the Right Thing, and Power, I fused all that together and made one. Because I always told myself, like I look at the beauty of anime. Like I'm a big Dragon Ball Z, Naruto guy. Like my grandmother put me on that as well. And I look at the team, and I look at the team that Goku had, I look at the team, the people that know that you know what I'm saying. So I look at
I was gonna say we've got some folks in here.
So yeah, I look at the team Naruto had, I look at the team Goku had, and a big thing that both of those had together that they didn't give up. Like you seen Goku fused with Vegeta. He's fused with Vegeta at first. They came together, they were brothers. Same with Naruto and Sasuke. So I was like, okay, my character, John Edward, in this Foundation film, and then I have his best friend, Malachi. And they have this type of fuel in this film that ignites the entire film and sets up what we're building later on in future films. And so I can give a little bit about the film. It's not currently out now, it's going through film festivals, and I can talk about that also after. But this film, The Foundation, It's about this young man played by me. I decided to, okay, I'm gonna step into this. It's my first time acting, so I'm gonna step into this role and I'm gonna see how it is. Because I knew when I built this character, I created him like me. So I was just, I have to step into this. I have to be this person. And so this film is a drama film, more so like a noir type of drama film. And so it's about this young man right after college, a few months after college. But during those days in college, him and his best friend Malachi developed this cryptocurrency in college. And it was kind of looked at as crypto laundering, to where, let's say you give me $100, I'll make sure your crypto portfolio jump up by 200%. That is looked at as crypto laundering. So that's what they was doing in college, but certain things from their past came back into the present, and they had to pay what they owed to certain investors. And so the film sets up that, and there's certain dealings that go on throughout the film. And throughout the process of this film, it's a 14-minute drama film. My character has, he has a chess game that he plays with this guy called the Wise Man. And he tells the Wise Man, like, hey, I've been having this dream that I've been floating over water. I've been having this dream that a mirror appears in the cracks. And the Wise Man tells him, like, hey, floating over water will symbolize transition and growth, while the mirror symbolizes betrayal. And not to get too much of the story away, but Malachi betrays John in this film. Like, he steals certain coins and cryptocurrency and money from John, and John doesn't understand the situation. And so something happens, Malachi leaves the country, and John has to face these powerful investors alone. So within that, he faces these powerful investors, and his whole life just changed. And when he walks in, it's the Wise Man. Like, the Wise Man has been watching him for so many years. It's a deeply layered film, and I'm trying to give you a little bit of it, not give you a lot of it, but it's a deeply layered film. And basically a deeper, smaller premise is he's offered an opportunity to build a new Black Wall Street. And so when I'm creating these films, and this is the Marvel side of me, we're building a universe. So every film is connected, and there's secret organizations in this film. There's the inception of certain groups, and to combat a digital society that's coming. So we're creating a universe that's filled where the world is eventually going to go fully digital. So physical money is obsolete. So that's the world that we're creating, and we're looking at movies like Ready Player One and things like that. We're looking at these futuristic movies and taking from them, like, okay, how can we do that, but also shape what we're doing? So this film is a big project, but it's much larger than what we're doing. Like right now, we're currently developing a comic book that's set in this film. We're doing podcast scripted series, we're doing web series, and we're doing so many pieces to build this universe out. And of course, like, our goal is to, we're doing it independently now, but of course our goal is to get it on a larger scale and partner with some type of network and things like that. So with this film, it has been a year and a half of this process, and like right now we're currently going through film festivals right now. Our film festival run ends in March, and we did something that I wrote it down in for my goals, but I was like, okay, I want to win one award. Because I never won nothing in my life. Like, I never really I was a quiet kid, introverted in high school, and even most of the time here. And I told myself that I want to win an award for this film. So fast forward to now, we're currently 5 awards in, with over 13 film selections, and we don't end our run until March. And we were just, it was in June or July, where we were just at the Jackson Film Festival in Jackson, Mississippi, and that's where we won 3 awards for Best Director, Best Cinematography, and Best Overall Short Film. And that was a beautiful moment for me. It was a beautiful moment for my team, for my family, and it was just a beautiful process altogether. I told my business partner, I was just like, hey, like, of course my goal was to win one, but I wasn't doing it for this. Like, I always told myself, I want to spark the mind of one individual when it comes to filmmaking, when it comes to when it comes to filmmaking, like, hey, I want to spark the mind of one individual, so they can tell themselves that I can do this. Because filmmaking it's a long, tiring process, and it's one of those occupations that you may not see the value, you might not reap the benefits of it 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. It's not one of those that you see it, you might see the value of it tomorrow. So the best advice that I can give just to emerging filmmakers like you guys is practice patience. Patience is it's hard. Being patient is hard. You order something from Amazon, you want it today. You want it today, and things like that. And when it comes to filmmaking, there's so many layers to filmmaking. You may think you have an idea, and you may think you are ready to shoot tomorrow, but there's so many things that have to go into that. Like you have the editing, you have the pre-production, you have the studying, you have the just jotting ideas and asking your friends and family, like, hey, how does this, like you might feel like you're in your own head, so it's okay to ask someone else, like, hey, how do you feel about this? How does this look? How does this idea sound? So the best thing that I can give out is just patience and study. Like, YouTube is free. Study a Ryan Coogler, study a Christopher Nolan, watch these films, like watch Oppenheimer. That is a beautifully told film from front to end. And me, color grading is my favorite thing when it comes to filmmaking. And cinematography, I take that serious. Like I love the story, I love the directing, I love the writing aspect, but you can tell so many stories through colors. And just that noir style, that cinematic, just low light type of feel, like this room, like this room exactly. So yeah, like this, that is my style. That is the beauty of it. And at this point, I wish you guys could watch the film right now. And it's like I said, it's a beautiful process. And we actually are currently doing a screening later this month, actually, on November 22nd in downtown Hattiesburg at the Spring Street Cigars, the Blue Jays, like right next door to the Blue Jays. And that's where we shot the majority of this film. And we're doing a screening out back on the patio over there. And yeah, it's been a beautiful process, and it doesn't end there. Like I'm currently writing 2 scripts right now, that one should be done by December, and then we start shooting a new film in April. And then we shoot another film in November, releasing a comic book around that time. And I told myself that it took me till the foundation was complete, that okay, this is what I want to do with my life. So.
Nice, yeah, this is awesome. So many things. Awesome. Also, grandmother is awesome. To have all those, like, you know what I mean, different tastes and like entertainment, from anime to Lord of the Rings, is wild and so unique and rare. So that's awesome. So these guys are, how long do you have for this this final project? You have maybe 2
November
weeks?
22nd.
Yeah, until November 22nd.
That date stuck out.
Yeah, so what is the best piece of advice that you could give them as a group? They are writing this script, kind of editing this script, and then they go into filming very quickly for this final project. So what advice do you have, even like little tips and tricks of cheating the system, you know what I mean, to get the project done? What advice would you give them?
Well, the best way of cheating the system is AI. The best way to cheat the system during these times. Because when I was doing,
I'm trying to tell them again.
when I was doing this film, there wasn't really, like, ChatGPT wasn't really a big thing. This was 5 years ago when I was doing it. And so with your process, you said they're in the editing stages?
Yeah, so I created a custom GPT for them called Denzel, which was named Denzel, and it's programmed to know what they're doing with their project, and then they go in and fill in some answers, and it writes a script, and then they can go in and edit it as they do it. So that's the script portion. It also gives them like a production plan. It helps them fill out some other paperwork that they have to turn in with it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the AI portion that I've given them. So anything else to help them you know what I mean, in editing and like putting things together. Yeah.
Right. Well, it goes along with what I was saying earlier as far as just the studying process. There's so many people like Danny Gevertz on YouTube that I study. He does a lot of behind the scenes work when it comes to editing. He does a lot of behind the scenes when it comes to the actual shooting process. And as far as the AI thing, like that's my own personal battle as far as the integrity factor to it.
Yeah.
But with you guys, it seems like you guys have a template to follow and to base things off of, and it's just understanding the story. And depending on the film, because it's rom-com based, right? That can be a lot of emotion. So tap into the emotional side of it and use a lot of your experiences in it. So you may see something that you want to change in the script. I'm just like, hey, I did something, I went through something like this, so add that to it. And I would say, just from an emotional and just intimate side of you, put that into it. Like, don't think of it as this is a project as far as school, I have to do this, I have a deadline and things like that. Like, of course you have a deadline, but think of it like, okay, this is my body of work, this is something that I'm putting into it. And I always say like knowledge is power, so that goes into taking what you have and going on YouTube, ask around and things like that, and hone in on it and put it into this project. Because editing you have those that do it early in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, then you have those that do it 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I've been both. I've been both, and I've found my way of my environment often sparks my creativity and things like this. So I may go to a coffee shop, I may go outside or something like this. So just go to a coffee shop, just explore places you've never been and just get those experiences and hone in on the process, because you have platforms like CapCut, you have iMovie, you have a complex one like DaVinci Resolve, Adobe Premiere, but as far as free ones, you have iMovie and CapCut. I personally would suggest CapCut for the free version, because there's so many features that it offers than iMovie does. But the best thing I can say is just put yourself into the work. Don't feel like it's a school project. Don't feel like it's something that I have to get done or things like that. Put yourself into it. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a creator. This is what I want to do in my life, because what you're doing now, and you may not understand it now, but it will deeply, deeply benefit yourself 10 years from now. You will thank yourself for these moments.
Yeah, yeah. What editing systems or softwares that are you guys using right now?
iMovie and DaVinci.
iMovie and DaVinci. Anything else?
InShot.
InShot? Yeah, that's a good one.
Just
iMovie. Okay, cool. Primarily iMovie, DaVinci. CapCut also has that AI integration now. So it's really a smart, intuitive system. Even the free version is really nice. Yeah, so those are good. I feel like I'm more familiar with iMovie because I use it a lot, like sending things in through Actors Access. Like, it's quick to cut, splice, and get that document, that file created. But yeah. So questions. A lot of things, yeah.
Do you know Lon Lenoir?
No.
He recommended that I had already found you guys online. He recommended local projects. He was a guy that worked as a PA for the TV show in Laurel, the Hometown TV show. So I was working on that.
You said Lon, right?
Lon.
Okay, I didn't. Okay, yes,
Lon.
yes.
Yeah.
He actually might work on my next few films.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like, hey, look these guys up. So you started talking about the foundation. I said, wait a minute, I watched some clips. So I started flipping and I found you guys again. So yeah, that's fantastic. There's
Nice.
projects like this locally and a lot of local talent and local energy for local projects. It's very cool.
This is Benaya, also,
Benaya.
yeah, and background too.
So
he does.
Actor, lots of Shakespeare, lots of theater and stage, but I've been really interested in film for years and moved to this area, completely unrelated profession, and ended up working on the Hometown TV show for a couple of seasons as a carpenter, just swinging a hammer and knocking walls down, and met one of the PAs on that show, many of the PAs, and one of them, very cool guy, was doing small independent features locally. He wanted to stretch his exposure. And so he and I were talking about film projects, and I told him I was going to grad school, and that's Lon, really good dude, and he mentioned you guys, and that's so full circle back to my time as a carpenter.
Yeah, and Benaiah also does a lot of fight choreography, as well as a lot of these guys. They have experience in, like, you know, hand-to-hand combat, swords, all types of weaponry and tomfoolery, right? You know, but yeah, they do a lot of cool things. But cool. Yeah. Any other questions?
Darrell, hi, I'm Trujol. How do you go about, have you been in self-budgeting your films, or have you been finding fundings?
Okay, so we did crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo for my last film, The Foundation, and it was my first time doing it. And when it's your first time doing something like that, it make it feel weird at first. Like, hey, I'm asking people to believe in my creativity and that they don't understand. So the best thing is just further, like, just explain what your film process is, just give yourself a backstory and things like that. And yeah, so me and my business partner, we funded half of it, and the other half we raised.
Awesome.
We're actually launching a new campaign next month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm not being familiar with that process at all with the crowdfunding. Does it start with contacts and people you know, and then your exposure goes wider and wider and wider, or is it just a broad net of anybody looking for a project that they artistically are interested in, or does it start with, like, people you know and contacts first?
Okay, well, it's a little bit of all of it. So
yeah.
These platforms, once you post your film on the platform, it's public. So anyone can go to the platform or search you up, or you may appear on a category feed or something like that. But you start out as far as sending to your friends, sending to your family, like, hey, I have a $5 tier, $100 tier, $1,000 tier, and things like that. And then you break it down as far as, hey, if you pay for the $10 tier, you get BTS photos, you get a poster, you get a copy of the film, or something like that.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. Any other things? Advice? Yeah.
I would be very interested to learn about your writing process and everything too.
Okay. It's
Yeah, because, and also I'm just jumping in because your projects are very smart. Like, you know, myself in the film industry, you come across scripts all the time, and I know you've seen them. You're just kind of like, okay, you know what I mean? But yours are very strategic, and they're very smart, and they're deeply, they're easily digestible. It's like you relate to the script because, you know what I mean? It's coming from, you know, a very personal and understandable place. Because I think sometimes that's hard to translate your story to people that don't necessarily know, you know what I mean, you know, your life or your lifestyle or what that looks like. But it's easy, your scripts make it so easy that anybody, like in Utah, they could come and, you know, watch your film and be like, okay, I know what's going on here, you know what I mean? So yeah, I would love for you to dig into, like, or let us know, like, what that process of writing and storytelling is, and also, like, just curious about where that came from, but yeah.
So yeah, a lot of it comes from just hearing my grandmother speak. And then there's this artist named Nina Simone. I listen to her music a lot. I actually just bought one of her vinyls for my birthday a few days ago. So I take in, like I said before, I take in a lot of information and knowledge, and then I apply it to what I already have, and I put myself into it. So when I'm starting a script, I say, okay, how do I want to approach this? Do I want to tackle the ending, the middle, or the beginning first? And sometimes I'll be all over the place. Sometimes I'll be all over the place. But when it finally comes down to it, it takes me a few weeks to start the first 3 words of the script, to believe it or not. Like, I have this thing where, okay, my environment shapes my creativity, as I said before. And so I can just get into this process I'm working on now. So I'm currently working on the script right now. So it's good you asked. And so with this process, I started writing the first few words, first few monologues and dialogues, things like that, and I just stopped. I stopped. So I had to take a few steps back and like, okay, where I am, this environment is not where it feels cluttered. It feels cluttered. So I put a lot of myself into it and my surroundings and things like that. I allow myself to breathe. Like, okay, I know that if I'm gonna dedicate myself into this process, I can have distractions. And I don't look at music as a distraction, like I have it on the background, but a lot of my surroundings shapes my script. So when it comes to past experiences, when it comes to what I'm going through now and things like that, I put it into it. And I believe in a lot of symbolism and foreshadowing. That is my big thing. That is a big thing for me as far as my film process. So I look at it from that standpoint as far as the storyline goes, because my last film, from the opening shot, it has foreshadowing and symbolism that's going to shape the entire universe. So I'm not just looking at it from this piece, like it's a broader scale, but I also have to catch myself that, okay, I have to hone in on it. So it's more so with me, it's all about surroundings, it's all about my experiences, studying and things like that, and just getting down to it. Like at first I started off just writing it down. Like I physically write it down with my whiteboard and my notes, and that takes a few months before I start the actual script, because I have to start the development stages before I start the script, and then that's when I get on my laptop and then just go to work. But once I'm typing, it's hard to stop. Once I have the first page and the first 5, 6 words, yeah, it's hard to stop.
Yeah. In references to like editing, directing, or script writing, you talk about studying different directors or actors or writers. One of my thoughts was, as creatives talk about things, they set up like their process, they determine like some general boundaries or laws for themselves, like their thoughts. Do you have any kind of rules for yourself whenever you go into writing or things like that? The clearest example that pops into my head is the writers of South Park. They have a general rule that says if your story has this happens and this happens, that's unrelated to the first thing, that it shouldn't be written, that everything that happens inside of the story should be this happens, and because of this, this happens. So everything stacks on each other as like their general guideline and rule for writing. I was just wondering if you've discovered any rules in your journey of creating and writing that resonate with yourself, or you've heard from people you've studied that you went, yes, that makes sense.
Okay, that actually does sound familiar. So when I'm developing and writing these stories, like I have, beforehand, I go through my days and think about like the chronological order of the film. So from the foundation, I know from front to back. And so same with this next story that's called The Architects. And so when I'm developing and writing this story, I have this rule of thumb: before coffee, during coffee, after coffee, and then I have to just visualize. Like I have this thing to where I visualize my creativity and I just see it. Like I just see it. Like not physically, but I see it. That makes sense. And so I have to tell myself that, does this story make sense? Does these characters align with the vision that I'm doing? And I have to put myself in their shoes. So it's more so like a visual aspect when it comes to it. If I don't see it, I don't write. So I have to be able to, when I'm writing, I have to see the characters. I have to see what they're doing. I have to see their wardrobe. I have to see their facial expression and things like that. And that goes into, if you're not inspired, don't do it. Don't force inspiration. Like, let it come to you. So when it comes to my writing process, if I don't visually see my creativity on the computer or on the paper, I don't start. And so if I'm writing and I see myself and I see it drifting away, I kind of take myself back, maybe go outside, get some coffee, and start back.
Yeah, that's good. I was just telling, I think it was Capstone, about filming and setting up their auditions, or even when you guys set up your monologues, it's like, okay, so this is whatever, which I think it's like right brain or left brain, whatever one, the logical side of your brain. set everything up, you know, do the production, like, okay, the lighting's right, I tested the lighting, the sound's good, and then I always say just go and do something else, like get some food, wash the dishes, you know, do something human, and then start improvising into that monologue and then record the monologue. Because if you get too up here, we never want actors up here, right? And so it can be hard to like get us from up here and start getting us here. So I always, that's really cool, like just leave it, let it be, and then come back to it when, you know, the heart is triggered, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah.
One more. You said the foundation was your first time acting for film. So just how was your experience doing that, and what have you learned through that process, and what can you give us as advice for acting for camera?
It was a lot of, like I said before, it was a lot of studying and just obtaining the knowledge and things like that. But it doesn't, none of that matters until you actually do it. So the preparation, I did the looking in the mirror, talking to myself, acting and things like that. I read the dialogue and I memorized it and things like that. And leading up to it, I could not get it. Like it was certain scenes, like even in the film, it was maybe 2 scenes that I improvised, like a few words. And up until it, I was just, I couldn't get it. Like some of it, one day I may know it, and the other day I may not, and things like that. And then when it finally started, when the camera finally came on, I don't know, something just clicked, something ignited. Like I don't know what happened. Like something just took over, and I just, like of course I had to read the script on set, but it's like something hit to where, oh wow, I did know all this. I did know all of this. So it's just, you have to, when it comes to acting, like this is my first time, but one thing that I learned is you have to be someone other than yourself. So when you stepping into a role and things like that, like you mentioned theater and things like that, this past 2 years, I just became a big fan of Hamilton. Like, I sing like Aaron Burr, Lafayette, I sing these songs daily. And so I look at their process between theater and then the acting, things like that. I look at how both of those different, but what remains the same is they're stepping into someone else. So you have to have an out-of-body experience to be able to step into a role that's not yourself, because you're not playing yourself. So it's, as far as if it's someone that you may despise or someone that you always wanted to be and things like that, that's like you have to study that, like people that did it before you. And with my role and the advice that I can give, if you have a choice to choose your role, just choose something that a piece of you or your younger self wanted to be, because that's where the excitement comes from. Like if you want to be, like you're doing a role where you're a lawyer or something like that, or a doctor, or something like in Lord of the Rings or something like that, to where you're fighting the orcs or something like that. Like you have to step into that and be excited about it, and just study the people that did roles similar to you, and just step into it. Take that leap of faith. Like, okay, this is what I want to do. And some actors may take you home with them and be this role still. Like you have different method actors, you have different actors that may have, but everybody's different when it comes to their process. But just try to understand that I'm stepping into something that I'm not, and I have to embrace it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anything else? Any other questions? Yeah. No, this is good. This is good. Yeah, we are moving into the final front. So, and they have actually created a lot of, for a short amount of time, they've created a big body of work. So it's really cool to see. And I know it's long hours and all the things, but they've done really well with like showing up and showing out on film. So it's exciting. And then I'll be in touch with you too, because at the end of the semester, we want to do kind of like a little film festival, film night type thing with all the things that they've created. So we'd love to have you come and do that. And I'm sure we have lots of conversations to talk about as far as working with our students and things that I have cooking. So we'll absolutely be continuing our conversation. We did a project earlier in the semester, and really, and you did so good because I don't even know if I know I didn't articulate my concept well. I was just like, it's really about the vibe of exploring the forest and all this stuff. And then he's like, okay. So we get up there and film, and he edits it, and it's like, finally the story was told. You know what I mean? Through what you gave me and created. And I was like, see? That's how you know you're working with someone who's really good and talented and knows what they're doing, right? To just make this crazy concept out of it and make it something. So that was really cool. But yeah, any final thoughts or anything?
When is the short film premiering?
Yeah.
November 22nd at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Spring Street Cigar.
Yeah, yeah.
Are we in? What is?
22nd?
Yes, November 22nd.
Okay, yeah. I think that's the night of the show. But I'm sure we'll
I'll
probably.
let you know if it's good.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll probably have some more chances to see. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be out to the world maybe early January, not early January, early summer.
Okay.
Early
Cool.
summer. Because film festivals, they have this thing to where they don't want it publicly out.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hopefully should hear back from the Oxford Film Festival up
Nice.
north soon. So
Nice.
we have a few that we're waiting to hear back
Awesome. That's
from. They
cool.
want the exclusivity. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much
Absolutely.
for
Thank
chatting
you.
with us. Yeah. Thank you for coming in.